Meeting to order Inland Wetlands Agency of Town of Woodbridge. It's Wednesday, March 19th, 2025. First item on the agenda this evening is 330 Rimmon Road, application for a two-lot re-subdivision. Mr. Shepherd, you want to come on up?
For the record, it's Alan Shepherd, professional engineer and partner in the firm of Nowakowski, Beamchow and Kane, 415 Howe Avenue, Shelton, Connecticut. And I'm here for my client, Gary Greco. Sorry about that. Gary Greco. A couple years ago, we came in with a 3-lot subdivision on Ribbon Road. We had one large 10-acre lot, and he was going to build or, move over to that lot. It didn't turn out that way, so now he wants to subdivide it. We have one driveway that goes next to a wetlands. It actually goes over an area which is an old farm trail in the back of the wetlands, but it is close to the wetlands. And the house is over 100, both houses are over 100 feet from the wetlands. So, there's no direct disturbance to wetlands. Very little grading around the wetland area. And, we're using an existing pathway.
On the second page of the submission, where it has contour lines that are shaded in gray, is that because that area doesn't count toward the area of the lot because slope?
Steep slopes,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
Sorry about that. No problem. It's going crazy.
The driveway is quite a road system there. What is that going to be graveled, paved, or what's the plan on that?
They're most likely going to be gravel because of the length.
Yeah.
We do have stormwater galleries along the driveway, spaced out along the driveway to take care of the runoff for that. Whether they're paved or gravel, I sized them for the pavement anyway. Mm-hmm. So, but long driveways like this tend to be gravel.
Yeah.
And obviously the lot, the lots, if we have anything in the regulated area, we'll have to come back to wetlands when we get a Pacific House plan.
Mm-hmm. Right. The on lot 2, the roof drain, what's that, going to a gallery next to the boundary line there? Yeah. Okay. All right. And the additional acreage next door was what you had given to the town as open space already, right?
We already gave the open space to the town with the original subdivision. Mm-hmm. So that requirement was filled. And we also gave open space to the, the southerly side of strip of land to get back to the town property. And then we gave an easement to, in back of lot number 1. Along with the open space that we gave.
So people could walk there.
The wetlands there, you could walk through the wetlands sometimes, but not always.
Yeah.
So, but they wanted that easement anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And, sorry, I don't know how to turn this off there. Try that.
Well, it made sense to connect the two parcels. Yeah.
So we granted that the easement, and that's been filed on the land records.
Mm-hmm. Chris, I think we need Jim to take a look at this. What do you think, or not? You don't think so?
believe so.
No, really?
I mean, you're gonna see see the traffic that come into the individual lots. It's your choice.
It's field where the driveway's going across. And then where the houses are, it is wooded, but those are outside the 100-foot setback.
I'm just curious, with very heavy rain, will the driveways be above water?
What's that?
With the very heavy rains we've been having, will the driveways still be above water? You know,
Yeah, it's slightly hilled, you know,
Okay.
so it goes down to the center. And as far as I seen on the property, you know, that's the wetlands in back of, that we're going through hardly holds any water. Because it's a large area, it's a large field, you know, so it's pretty, it's not a big watershed too, it's just not even past the road, it's just up the road over. And that was a old farm trail, it's pretty well worn.
That wetland sliver that goes to the middle of the property, I don't remember from when we did the original subdivision. Is that a brook flowing through there, or is it just
No,
a
it's just
depression?
it's just a field. Actually, my client's mother owns the house in the front. Now his brother owns it, and they hit golf balls out there. It's a field. They just use it as a driving range.
Yeah.
So there are wetlands by the road. That's, you know, on right by the road on lot 2, but we're not going near there.
I've driven by there and said, boy, how do you get to there's wetlands in front, how do you get there? This is how you get there.
That's how you get there.
Right.
Yeah, it's round back. That's how you get
I
there.
understand.
Other questions?
I thought you turned it on.
Need nails.
I don't know why it's doing that.
Somebody's
Gotta talk
anxious
to
to
my
get a hold of you.
I don't know why it's doing that. I think maybe my phone is filled or something. It's just, I gotta talk to, it started today. I gotta
Oh.
talk to someone that knows about those things.
Steve?
Yeah, thank you. I don't have a lot to say right now because I just got this, these plans, 2 days ago or so. So I haven't had a chance to look at them, so closely yet. Can you restate for me, what was it you said at the beginning of your remarks about how something's going to come back to this commission?
Yeah, because both of the lots have wetlands on them. Once we do the site plans, the individual site plans, when we know what the houses are, they usually go back to the boards for review.
Yeah, that's usually a standard provision. We
That's
have
what
it.
I wanted,
Yeah.
that's what I'm driving.
Yeah, and
I want
that's
to make sure that we're
when
going
we
to
have a
get,
specific house plan and
Yeah.
we know exactly what's going on.
and that's going to give us Mr. Chairman, that's going to give us the proverbial second bite at this apple, is that so?
Yeah, I mean, this is to create the lots, basically, and then they come back with something that shows, here's how it's gonna be developed,
Very good. So, all right, so with that in mind, having said, I'd like a little more time to review before I reveal to you any comments I have about it. But I'm wondering, I'm looking at page 1. Do you have the plans? And something's just not jibing. Let's look at lot number 1 on page 1. All right, so the top sheet. Am I interpreting, so you see we're inside the square, the building square, 150 building square?
Yes,
All right, for lot 1. Are those wetland flags to the right of that?
yes.
Okay. Why does that distance, and I know it's not the same scale, but it just doesn't seem to be the same, seems to be showing a different distance on page 2. If you look at what's depicted for lot 1 and that box, maybe the box is bigger at the 150 than is depicted on page 2, but looks like the wetlands are closer on page 2 for lot 1 than they appear on page 1 for lot 1. Am I crazy?
Maybe, but I'll check into it.
Thank you. And if, you know, if you could review for any other inconsistencies, maybe beat me to the game.
Yeah. No, that's.
You know, I wouldn't
I
expect to
think
see.
that, I believe they are the same. It's just that this one's cleaner without a lot of stuff on it, and the other one has more lines on it. So, but I'll look into that.
Thank you. And why did I see some materials here that talked about a stream? But I'm not seeing it now. Was anything submitted here that identified the wetlands as including a stream or a watercourse? An intermittent watercourse. Currently, Lot 1 is an undeveloped lot and contains wetland areas which include an intermittent watercourse of approximately 1.46 acres. But I thought I heard you say there was no watercourses on the property.
Yep, there's that, see that sliver on lot number 2?
Yes.
That, is a low spot, wetlands, and it goes up to, and you can see the wetlands on lot number 1. There's a little tail
Point.
that comes in,
The tail, let's say?
yeah, and that area could flow water at times. I haven't seen it flow water. And it looks pretty dry every time I've been out there. And it's an old farm trail in between lot number 1, lot number 2 is an old farm trail that,
That's why that's elevated. That's what interrupted the communication
that's what
between those two water
right,
courses?
Right.
Or wetland
Right,
areas,
right.
let's say?
So it doesn't flow naturally. It could have flow. You know, I was out there maybe over the years 6 or 7 times, and it looked pretty dry to me. So, you know, I think it's
Well, it is, it's on there as a regulated area, so.
regulated,
Yep.
right.
All right, so, it's interesting. You have any appetite in, I'm just thinking fancifully, cutting into that berm, let's call it, or old wood road to reconnect those two? Is it something that?
I've gone back and forth on that, and I think I'd like to handle that when we come in for the application.
All right, let's give everybody a chance to think
Yeah,
about that.
because my gut feeling right here, right now, is to leave it the way it is and just go over it, right? Because it's been a farm trail there, it's been working. But I also know that the farmers used to put rocks down in these little rivulets, you know? And that could be carrying the water underneath there during a storm. So I'm kind of thinking that if, when we come in for the site plans, that I would reserve the right to take a look at that a little harder.
Sure.
I really would refrain I'm not inclined to pipe it. If it works right now and it works for years, I would say, but I may suggest a trench drain in there, just as like a high level overflow thing. So putting a pipe in, you know, right now the backyard works fine. You know, I don't see it overflowing that driveway there. But I would look at that a little harder when we come in for a site plan.
Fine. I have not just made that request to you, I'm just thinking out loud.
No, and if I've thought about it too, you know,
Thank
it's
you.
like if you know, the problem with piping stuff is you concentrate it, and now I'm letting water go that works right now. But if I put like a high level trench drain in up high, it'll allow it to flow over if it ever does into that. But I haven't seen it that. And
I have a final,
Sure.
yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. One of the things I have seen around town is what I'm calling lawn creep. And I'm wondering, what could you do to place some permanent delineation of area disturbance or the lawned area or something like that, and consider our wetland medallions at an appropriate distance from each other?
Yep. On lot number 2, I don't have a problem with that. There's a slope there that we can define that. For lot number 1, this meadow that I'm talking about, I would like to keep it meadow because there's a lot of advantages to keeping a meadow. We don't have those as much as we used to have in Connecticut. And wet meadows are great to keep. So with the board's permission, we could, have a mowing schedule for that. It's mowed now, it was a farm at one time, and it's kept as flat field right now. But I would like to keep that as a meadow.
Okay, but I'm still going to be keen on some kind of a physical demarcation. So, yes, you may, I'm letting you, revealing to you my thoughts on it. So, yeah, I might not object to your maintenance of a meadow there with some periodic cutting or so. But the homeowner ought to know, however, that is not a lawned area for soccer games or to put a shed on.
Good point.
Or to create a basketball court, even though I'm a fan of every one of those things, but these are regulated areas.
Yeah.
All right, just giving you some food for thought. Thank you.
Jack, anybody else have anything? All right, we'll come back next month and we'll deal with it, so. But I guess it doesn't sound like there's any big objection to it, so.
Yeah, no, I think we can work out
Yeah.
the terms.
Sounds like it,
Okay,
or it looks like it.
okay, all right, Alan, thank you.
Thank you.
I should mention too, Andre's seated for Dave, since Dave's not here.
Regional Water Authority review, and we're fine with it. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
Okay, next time on the agenda, 22 Grouse Lane, residential site development of lot. Yep, take your time, no hurry.
He's got one. So in the interim, you've then sent the soils report that you wanted.
Yeah.
You were sent the information from Quinnipiac Valley that they will be signing off on it, so you've got that. And he's gonna go over the revised plans that address comments that you've had. And you have. And you also got comments from the Regional Water Authority.
Yeah, I saw that. Thanks.
And I don't know if you got a copy of the comments from them, so here's a copy for you. It's basically their boilerplate stuff.
Yeah.
My name is Ryan Thompson. I'm an engineer and land surveyor. I was hired by the potential buyer on this property to do a due diligence period to determine, basically, to seek the approval so that when he buys the property, it's buildable. I'm just going to sign in here real quick. So last month when we were here, there were a couple of requests. One of them was for the soils report, which you have. One of them was for septic design approval, which essentially has been granted. It's not, I don't have a signed, stamped copy yet, but I have an email saying that it was going to be approved yesterday. And then there were some comments about potentially moving the house location to get it a little bit further out of the upland review area. You had some comments about erosion and sediment control. You had a comment about the square footage of the house. I don't remember all the comments, but those are the ones that stick out. So I'm just going to kind of go through what has been changed, and I tried to address everything. The biggest one is the house has shifted to the north by pretty substantially. I mean, it was more centered. Now it's just a few feet from the setback line on the north, which gets it further out of the upland review area. The upland review line, the 100-foot line, is right here. So you really have, the septic system remains in the upland review area, a portion of the coping, proposed coping, a portion of the garage, and a portion of the driveway is all in there. The rest of it is out. I did add the stockpile. I added a hay bale detail for the silk fence that you had discussed. I added the construction entrance that we had discussed. One of the comments from Quinnipiac Valley was to add test pits that had been done in 2004 that I wasn't aware of until that, so I added those. Those are now shown. I will say they're much more restrictive, and it is still preferable to put the septic system where I have it. I did consider trying to shift it to the front, but this is a better design, quite frankly. Even though it's still within the upland review area, engineering-wise, it's better where it is. So I think that addresses all the comment. I added this. This is the septic information for these 3 pits. They wanted to see that one there as well. I think that addresses pretty much the comments that. Okay, one other thing. The square footage of the house, 3,952 square feet. I put it right on the house footprint there. That was a question that you had, Mr. Sissinski.
Thank you.
But I believe that answers everything, so I'll leave it up to your questions and comments.
Thank you for responding to the comments. I think it's an improved plan, you know. And Stephen, what's your thought?
Well, so, yeah, thank you for being responsive to those preliminary comments and producing a revised plan. So I went out there, I site inspected the property last week, and nothing really surprising, except the property's a little interesting because the stone wall, once you get west of the stone wall, it looks like an entire floodplain. The wetlands are almost indistinguishable from that entire area between the 2 houses, between the houses on the other side of the wetland area. So once you get past the stone wall, as I said, heading west, it really all kind of flattens out. And then somehow imperceptibly, you know, based upon the soils, obviously, there's wetlands down farther out. But reason I say that is my concern is that once the septic galleries are constructed and there's going to be elevation changes because of introduced fill there, my concern is that we're going to end up with a lawned situation all the way from the 100-foot upland review area line or marker, that area. We're going to end up with lawn all the way down to the wetland flags unless we do something.
So I heard you talking to
The prior applicant?
Yeah, and it's very common, and I have no problem, you know, putting on the medallions and stuff and delineating the, you know, along the
wetland line?
well, I would say put them along, you know, here where we're showing the limits of.
Your silt fences.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, I appreciate that. And we actually talked a little bit about that. We broached this subject last month. But I think that's not, I think we could do better as a commission. And I wonder if instead we could have the limits of the lawn somewhere approximating the original 456-foot elevation line. You want to take a look at that? And, you know, the reason for that is, you know, we do try to protect the upland review area, the 100 feet, that the benefits to a 100-foot upland review area are well known. And, you know, this house is about as big, this house is pretty large, so, you know, allowing the homeowner to have the largest possible back constructed area to the rear of the house and a large house itself, it seemed to me that that the commission would be justified in requesting that we hold the lawned area or the disturbed area toward the upland review area at somewhere around that original 456-foot elevation line. And if that's too constricting because it comes right at the
What comes to the,
approaches the walkway and the coping, I get that. Maybe a 5-foot strip or a 10-foot strip, like a lawned area or something.
Yeah, I think that as long as there was some sort of lawned area to maneuver.
To get east and west and
Yeah, to get
around
around it, because that coping area is gonna be fenced in, and you're not gonna want weeds and stuff like right up next to the fencing. You're gonna want a little bit of space just for maintenance and sanitation and stuff, of the.
And I agree with that. And I agree
Yeah.
with that. Yeah, we don't want to hem the property owner in unreasonably. So,
I would say that just, and I don't want to interrupt you, but I would just ask that if it's a condition that you put on it, that you just make it wide enough that somebody could turn a mower, a riding mower type of situation around there.
I'm in complete agreement with that concession, yes. But I think that allows us to maintain upwards of, 70, 85 feet of upland review area.
Yeah.
Which is important, because this is a very, this wetland area checks many of the values that we are to consider in determining the value of a wetland area. So so is that the extent of my, including monuments? Oh, what's going to be the materials? Like, I didn't see, you kind of have hashing where you have coping near the covered porch, but I couldn't find what that material is in the legend. What is that?
So
Patio blocks? Or?
No, I mean, I would assume it'd be something like gunite, like the pool would be made out of, or maybe concrete.
Epoxy, little
stones.
stones?
Yeah, the pool's, I'm not an expert at the building materials, so, I don't know for sure, but that's what I'm envisioning what that coping would be.
Fine. But an impervious surface.
An impervious, yes.
All right. So, I don't have I don't have a problem with I don't have any objection at all to the proposal, except, as I said, I think that how should we proceed then, now that you know?
Well, I think that if you put it in as a condition that the lawn area be restricted to that
456, 450,
Yeah, 456
455.
contour, with the exception of a 5, 8, whatever you say, strip around the coping of the pool, then, and then you could also put as a condition that gets staked out during construction so that it, and it's marked, with flagging, so that the contractor doesn't go beyond it.
That's fine. Although we'll be looking at the end product. Maybe that's you and your contractor's responsibility. Of course, our enforcement officer may be over there to make sure that.
I mean, so I would, during the stakeout, I would just, I often on these jobs, I stake out the limits of disturbance. I would just stake that out as well and do a sketch and say, this is where you can't go, no one shall cross, right? So, that type of thing.
Very good. And so then, Christine, I guess for our note purposes, I guess I might like that, I guess
If you're gonna make it a condition, it should be a condition of the permit.
Yeah, so I'm just continuing to develop it. But as we get farther south, the contours kind of change a little back toward the wetland area. So my inclination is to try to hold the 458-foot elevation line. So you understand how the property kind of trails off. I'd like that to be kind of a straight line, so it's easy for the homeowner to see, and it's easy for everybody to plan, let's say. So if you'll join me in looking at the diagram, just to make sure you understand kind of what I'm talking about, that as we are closer to the house, we're at the 456-foot elevation, or so, 450, between that and 455 elevation. But as we get farther south, if we could try to hold the 458, the 458-foot elevation line, so, trying the best we can to get that straight line.
Yeah, I think
So, but I'd like the commissioners to see too. So it's something, so we're actually back here, so we get oriented, so we're at the back of the property. So, the top of my pen basically being that, so we're gonna, allowing the 456 line and then a 10-foot bump, and then kind of maintaining it out in this direction in somewhat of a straight fashion.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe that's even easier. Maybe you just say, offset 5
10
feet,
foot off plumb.
whatever, off from the back of the coping, and then just a straight line across.
That's exactly what I'm calling for. Yeah, good.
I mean, I don't see any reason why that would be objectionable to my client.
Thank you.
As long as they do have some yard. Right?
Yes.
I think that's the important thing.
Well, they'll have a front yard, they'll have 2 side yards,
And they'll have a little bit of a backyard.
and they'll be able to get to both of them by crossing through the backyard.
Yeah.
And they could go in and play and enjoy that upland review area. That's not a do not enter zone, you know that.
It's not cutting and mowing and
No
landscaping.
physical
and
disturbances. So yeah, go
Yeah.
play in it, do whatever children do in the woods, that's all permissible and encouraged.
It's a tick
I
playground.
guess-
Say that again?
I say it's a tick playground.
It's a
I guess my only concern on that is that we've already had them move the house further to the north, and the area where you're talking about that coping, that's got to be more than 100 feet from the wetlands. So, I mean, we're restricting them to use an area that's beyond their upland review area over on that side of the house. That doesn't make sense to me.
No, I didn't quite see,
I didn't
I'm not
quite
sure.
understand it to be that. It
Yeah, I'm
looked-
not sure you understand.
Well, okay, over here, you're right. So this portion, it wouldn't apply. It would be to the upland review area, right? So if you have
Correct.
so beyond the upland review area, so this portion over here doesn't.
Okay,
Fall
I just
into
want to be clear, because what we were talking about sounded like you're
No, yeah,
step
no,
off the coping and you're in
well,
the woods
no,
or
I
something, so.
appreciate that. I was only thinking he was talking about the upland review area,
Okay.
not anything outside of that.
And you are gonna have disturbance beyond that point because you have to install the
The
septic
septic
Yeah,
system.
there,
Can't avoid that.
yeah, that will be installed, but then, afterwards, it could be essentially
Stabilized.
left alone, and just, not seeded and grassed and, in terms of a lawn, it'd allow it to be reclaimed as natural.
State.
Is this one the type of system where you have cleanouts at both ends of the system? I know my son's house has this kind of septic system where you have cleanouts at both ends, so you gotta get to them.
Yeah, there's cleanouts at both ends.
Yeah, so, I mean, to say, I think that restriction is a little bit too tight, to be honest with you. Not that I'm advocating for, for more, your position, but, it just seems like we gotta be practical too. If they've gotta get in and clean out the tank and the fields that have to be worked on occasionally,
Well, it's interesting. I mean, I
have
see.
it grow back to some other area that's not a mowed area that's harder to work in. It just doesn't make sense to me, but anyway.
I want to do right by
No, I
the board,
understand.
and it, really, I guess I would leave it up to you guys to discuss and determine. But what I'm saying is, I don't think I can understand if the commission decided that they wanted to put some sort of restriction on mowing back there.
Oh, yeah, no,
Obviously, maintenance purposes still need to be, we still need to be able to maintain the system, and but that doesn't necessarily mean it needs to be a lawn, a pristine,
Okay.
grass lawn.
Plus, Mr. Chairman, the driveway, the driveway extends to within, tens of feet. And, I know that my,
What do you mean,
Septic
what do you
truck.
mean 10s of feet? I don't understand
well,
what
if you
you're
go to the
saying.
end of the driveway, you're only from the gallery, from the septic system, you're only,
Probably
I don't
30
know.
feet,
say that again?
30 feet probably.
Yeah, my septic truck comes with plenty of piping and a shovel, so he must go 100 feet. I mean, these people are equipped to travel to operate within 30 feet. I mean, so
You can
I
do
appreciate your
100.
willingness to do that. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's unreasonable to ask
Okay.
that it not be mowed. I would think it would be unreasonable not to be able to maintain it, but I don't think I didn't get that being the case what you were asking.
Okay, all right. So we're talking about what elevation of, post-development elevation line we're talking about here? 456?
Was going to be the
He's saying 456, and then as it went south, going up to 458.
Okay,
and that's the construction elevation. And
Okay.
then, providing the 10-foot, let's say, strip for passage, so that the homeowner has, may traverse the perimeter of his property. Yeah, thank you. That's the extent of my comments.
okay.
Do you
Anybody
want,
else have thoughts?
do you want a fence along that area? I mean, typically that's what you've done, because I don't know how else you're gonna get that if that's what you guys want. Because a mower comes out there, a landscaper comes out there, he's not gonna know it's 10 feet.
Well, that's what we're going to have the
The
wetland
placards
markers.
are just placards.
And they're
And
usually
what we've
50
done-
feet apart.
And they're 50 feet apart. So what we've generally done is asked for like a split rail fence that the placards get put on, so that there's something that obviously is there.
Well,
Doesn't have to be a split
I don't
rail
object to
fence.
that. I don't object to a physical a more physical demarcation that suits me.
Well, that's the only thing I think would work, if that's what we're trying to do.
Okay.
I mean, again, it's at this point, if those are the requirements, that we can work with those. If you decide as a commission that you don't need those, then we can certainly, whatever the commission decides at this point, just, I'm not opposed to. It's,
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, one other note is while I was there, I noticed a lot of trash.
okay.
So at the stone wall, where there's the break in the stone wall, there appears to have been some camps by, teenagers or something like that. So there's countless cans, beer cans, broken bottles, and other stuff. I have pictures of it if you want to see. There's a couple of different fields of it. So if you could relay that to the property owner, maybe somebody could pick that stuff up, just so nobody gets hurt, but, it's all up in the upland review area. That trash is in the upland review area.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm representing the buyer. I will certainly bring it up that there's trash on it. Whoever owns, the owners now, it would be their responsibility, but that's, yeah, I'll pass it along.
Thank you.
I don't know that, I can't enforce that, but, I'm just an engineer, so.
Thank you. So, Mr. Chairman, I'm prepared to make a motion.
Anybody else have anything they want to say, or?
No, I walked this property too,
You walked it too?
years ago. I live half a mile away.
Okay, yep, why don't you make your motion then?
Sure, yeah, make it a motion to approve application of RCL Thompson LLC at 22 Grouse Lane in accordance with the plans, last plan revised and dated to March 14, 2025, with the conditions that there be a split rail fence with wetland markers demarcating the limit of the maintained lawn area at or about the old prior construction, pre-construction 456 elevation line, and then as straight thereabout as possible heading south, comma, certain to include a 10-foot lawn strip
It'll be heading north.
allowing passage, allowing the homeowner use of that strip to enjoy the full extent of their property. Otherwise, so that's my motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Yeah, it
You're
just,
making it subject to standard conditions.
conditions, yeah.
And see, yeah,
And it's north of that point and within the upland review area. And I would just add that, so.
what was that, Mr. Chairman?
Just heading north from the 456.
And yeah,
within the,
holding the 100-foot line is fine, yes.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any comment, discussion on that? We have a second.
So I'll second it.
Josh seconded, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstentions? Okay, we're all set. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks.
And I'm assuming you approve that because if the conditions are followed, there'll be minimal or no
Yes.
impact on the property.
You
I
can-
gave it to you
Yeah.
for you, yes.
All right, moving right along. Correspondence. 344 Amity Road, letter from Chris Sullivan, the other Chris Sullivan.
Someone who spells his name wrong.
Maybe he'll learn. So basically just a progress report saying that they started. So, okay. Enforcement officer report. Chris, do you have anything that we need to talk about?
No, I don't have anything at the moment that I can think of.
Steven?
Yeah, under enforcement?
Yeah.
So, can we get a planting plan from 106 Seymour Road? Because the state of the property now is in violation of the permit, I believe, insofar as there has been exceedances to the limits of disturbance on the northerly border of the property. So the lawned area as it currently exists is right up to the wetland, the ponded area. And that was not how that approval was set out. So,
Well, John Paul was out there, wasn't he? Didn't he put some stakes in?
He
Was
put
that
some
the
markers
lower
in-
pond
He put
or?
some markers in the middle where the clearing limits were supposed to stop.
Mhm.
And it's beyond that.
So they've cleared more than they were supposed to.
They cleared more than they were supposed to. They haven't sold the house yet, haven't got their C of O yet, so.
Okay,
I
so
can
we-
talk to Peter and tell Peter we need some kind of planting plan.
Okay. Mhm.
thank you.
Yep. Anything else on the enforcement realm?
Only if Stephen has something else for me to do.
I'm just wondering.
Yeah, no, you have the right to ask.
As my
No.
father used to say, if you're in for a dime, you're in for a dollar. I'm wondering, does it make sense to site inspect the Rimmon Road property, or anybody who doesn't have any prior experience with it? I'm going to head out there, because I did not walk it when it was originally approved. I wasn't on the commission.
I don't think we all need, if there's interest in going out there,
You're just building a driveway, right?
well, they're just getting approval to build,
Yeah,
split the lots,
yeah.
not to do anything else at this point, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no other, that's the from my recollection, that's the most feasible way to get to Lot 2. You have to go all the way around that
Yeah.
finger wetland. So other than that, we get to review site development, which is really when the details come in. So. Unless we require them to put a bridge in or anything like that,
Or unless
major.
you say, no, you can't have lot 2.
Yeah, or you can't
Or
have
lot
Lot
1
2.
or whatever the heck it is.
So I'm gonna, I'm not encouraging anybody else to, but just mostly alerting staff and such. I want to take a walk on the property so that when it does come again, I'll be all the wiser.
Yeah, I mean, should we alert Alan?
I'll let Alan.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Okay. And maybe have Stephen talk to him when he's going out there. Oh, wait, but they can't discuss anything
No, they
anyway, so,
can't.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't,
Yeah.
I won't need anybody.
Yeah, okay.
It'd be a waste of their
Take
time.
your cell phone
All right.
just in case.
Get attacked by a bear?
And the bug,
No,
bear
in
spray, too.
case you fall into the quicksand.
All right. Approval of minutes, moving right along here. Okay. I didn't find anything wrong,
I took a quick look and didn't find anything.
and Gene's not here, so therefore.
So nothing is wrong.
They'll have to slip through whatever's there, so, unless anyone else has
No,
something.
it is.
No, they read well, they made sense. That's what I remember.
I move to approve the minutes as
Sure.
prepared.
Okay.
I'll second.
Jack seconded, all in favor? Aye, opposed, abstentions, 5-0, we done. Anything else we need to talk about before we adjourn?
I think just that three of us went to that FOS meeting, which I thought.
How was that?
I liked it.
I brought back, towards the end of the thing, there was a presentation on dark skies, which I found very interesting, so I did bring back material on that, not particularly for you guys, but for town planning and zoning, so, when Mika has a chance, I will share it with him, because part of it's doing an inventory of the streetlights that you have around town, and seeing whether or not they meet some criteria, and if they don't, then technically they shouldn't have to be there and whatnot. So it was rather interesting. The other point they brought up about the lighting was that LED lights pollute more than standard lights because of the wavelength that they have. Because they showed the satellite pictures looking down, and once LED lights became a thing, you could see that it really had expanded the amount of light that was out
Yeah,
there.
just orient them down instead of,
Yeah, I had to leave early, but yeah. I
turn
missed
some
that
stuff
part,
off
so.
at the firehouse.
So it was a pretty, it was an interesting discussion.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
Yeah, just if I could comment a bit on the dark sky initiatives. A lot of these things are, some of the best practices are to have the lights pointed in such a direction that, well, it's interesting because that actually does have, that whole science actually impacts wetlands and watercourses and obligate species, because frequently these obligate species are fooled by artificial light, and that can affect their reproductive cycles detrimentally. So there is a connection between dark sky initiatives and these best practices and inland wetlands
Yeah,
and watercourses.
we had ongoing issues with the firehouse development with the lighting and shrouding, and we ended up painting part of the lights so they wouldn't go back into the wetland area. So we've sort of been
Touched
there,
on
done
that in
that.
the
Yeah.
past.
So
Yeah. I mean, there's a specific lighting frequency, or whatever you want to call it, that they
Yeah.
can tolerate.
Call it a color.
And whatnot, because I had to deal with it up in Bethany, because the sports field that's up there, CFS, which is soccer and lacrosse, to be able to do the teams that they need to have night lighting. And there's no wetlands on that site, there are wetlands in the woods behind it on the town property, so we had to have both our biologist and their lighting people check it to make sure that there wasn't going to be any adverse impact on it. So it was interesting.
yeah, we lived on Rice Road when the high school put the lighting up on the football field there. our elderly neighbor across the street said when they turned it on, she thought it was the end of the world because the entire neighborhood was like aglow. And there were a lot of wetland areas there. You know, John Chatfield lived next to me and he had that
Yeah.
pond, the 2 ponds on his property actually were illuminated by that. So, but it wasn't as big an issue back 20 years ago or 30 years ago,
We
35
were
years
gonna
ago.
try to get the stream across from his house named after him.
Yes, I remember that.
We had to
talked
wait,
about
because he had to be passed for at least 5 years, but I think that's been done now.
it.
so
Yeah, more than that now.
We'll have to look into that.
Yeah, we will, yeah. Anyway, anybody else have anything else? Nope. Okay, we have a motion to adjourn? Anyone want to move?
I'll move to adjourn.
Yeah, do we have a second? Josh seconded, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstentions, we're done. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good.
What time do you have?
20.
'Cause I can't trust the clock.